I don't know what happened there. Okay. Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's your girl, Dana Patrice, aka the Black Fairy, and we are over here on my channel, Black Fairy Tings, where we are currently deconstructing patriarchy, deconstructing Christianity, and really just becoming our best goddess selves. Okay. And that starts by remembering who you are, where you come from. And a lot of us don't deep dive enough into the history of women's oppression and how we got oppressed, because this wasn't always the case as our male counterparts would like us to believe. And I do a lot of that kind of deconstruction on this channel. So if you're interested, please stay tuned. Let's get into it, okay? Today, I wanted to go live and talk about this woman named Shirley Vernae. I want to say it's pronounced. But Shirley Vernae, she went viral this week for paying $10,000 into a dating coach. She did end up getting engaged. A lot of people had a lot of things to say. I want to challenge some of the things that were said, especially around deconstructing what that looks like to whomever. Maybe extending a little bit of grace, right? For those who may not be where many of us are awakening to be in regards to men and relationships. But yes, we are going to get into everything. Let's get into it. I'm going to play the intro video and we will be right back.
Yes. I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.
Okay, so again, this is about a lady who went viral for spending $10K in a year on a dating coach. And there was a lot of people who had a lot of things to say. I'm going to play some of those reactions now. Again, it was mostly viral on TikTok, but it went to Twitter, it went to Threads. It carried on a couple of places. But first, we're going to listen to Shirley Vernae and her story, and how she and why she ended up paying. And then we're going to go into some of the reactions. Okay, so let me go to the screen. And there's several videos. So let me pause.
I'm 39. I had not been on one date in 2 years. Then I invested $10,000 into my dating coach. Shout out to Anwar White. I met my fiance a year ago. He proposed 2 months ago. And now we're getting married in 5 months. So I'm going to finish telling you the iconic engagement story. After that, I'm going to use this page to help you become the CEO of your love life. But first, let's talk investments. People will spend $20,000 on Dr. Miami, $100,000 on higher education, but there are some people in my comments literally cringing at the idea of investing their money and protecting their hearts and their future love lives. So I know the cost. I literally wasted 13 years of my youth on a man because I was not educated on how to date, how to choose wisely, how to pick with intention and clarity. And that comes with consequences. Having children with someone who doesn't show up, wasting years in a low vibrational relationship, letting your emotions allow you to crash out and lead you away from your purpose, being delulu about the red flag. So as a CEO of a 7-figure content studio, I'm now the CEO of my love life. And I lead my love life with wisdom. Your literal life depends on who you choose. So I encourage you to choose wisely. I'm 30.
I don't see a problem with her doing this. It's like she explained. We spend a lot of money on a lot of things, especially in the Black community. I'm a Black Canadian. My parents are from the island of Jamaica, but we weren't necessarily taught how to date. I know me with Caribbean parents. I grew up in a very strict Christian home. It was mostly like, don't have sex, don't get pregnant, wait until you're married. But I really didn't get much beyond that, right? So I love that she was willing to do the work. There's a lot of question whether the 10,000 is worth it. We're going to get into that. I just want to play a few of the rebuttals and the reactions to kind of get you a feel of like what I was kind of seeing. And I mean, points were made, but I think we need to have a little bit more empathy. It's like, I feel like there was a lot of a judgment towards her. And personally, like I said, I don't think that she did anything wrong. Let's get into it though. I'm just going to play the top ones. If it will. Okay, here we go.
$10,000 on a dating coach. We're going to talk about it really quickly because I am tickled. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people more upset, but it is funny. All right. I'm Anwar White, Rach Jackson. I saw Anwar's videos when he was around 20,000, 30,000 followers. And it was an issue because he said something very common sense. I cannot remember what it was, but it was common sense. And people were like dissing him. So me, I love mess. I'm like, who is this guy y'all talking about? Boom, boom, boom. Let me see. He said nothing new. Right. And I said, oh, I know what this is. This is one of those, you don't like hearing the truth from a woman as a woman. So you go to a man and he tell you the same thing. And that man making his hustle off of that, so crazy. I get it. At one point of the video, the woman talking about some.
Here's the thing. Is it common? Not everyone's taught how to date. And also, if you're going to his social media page and you're saying, oh, the things he's talking about is very basic, like I wouldn't pay for that. That's not what they're paying for when you really think about it. Like, do you think that they're paying for the general information that he provides women for free? Do you think that he's not capable of providing more behind the scenes? Like, this is just free to him to garner up, and you could call it a hustle. But matchmaking, dating coaches are not new. A lot of cultures do it. I only really see in the Black community where it's kind of like shunned upon. Women keep it to themselves because people look at them crazy, like, oh, you need help to get a man. No, like, it's not about getting a man. Everybody knows that that's like the easiest thing that you could possibly do is get a man. Like, I could go outside right now and get a man. It's not hard, but when you're looking for a certain type of relationship, a certain type of person, weeding through the men, because there are a lot of men who don't have good intentions, who are walking red flags. Like, to me, it's just like, I don't understand why you thought that shuffling through his free advice, you were going to get anything magical from it. And I don't think it's that she necessarily was like, oh, I'm going to take this advice from a man. I think what she said, and we'll get into it because she did do an interview, she said that it was really just the person was using him and she decided to use him too. I know right now there's a divide, especially because a lot of women are separating themselves from men. I have separated myself from men. So I'm not saying like I'm decentering men. I'm not even dating right now. She wasn't dating for the longest time. And then when she decided to go back into dating because she didn't want to repeat a cycle, she got coaching. We can judge her for her not choosing a woman dating coach, but her having a patriarchal mindset is also something that I see because she's a Christian. She's a God-fearing woman. So, I mean, when you look at her page and you hear her story and you hear her speak, even in this interview, she brings up her Christian values. So Christian values are surrounded by patriarchy. Christian values are the cornerstone of patriarchy. That's why I like to deconstruct Christianity specifically, because that was my indoctrination to patriarchy, growing up Christian. So, I mean, if you look at her mind today, like, I don't understand why, oh, this is one of those, like, I feel like sometimes when we elevate and we awaken and we realize the game, sometimes we turn around and we want to judge women who are still under that indoctrination. That's what I see a lot of going on right here. This whole, like, this is common sense. No, it's not. You know, like I said, I was not taught to date with the kind of intentions, and people say, you know, vetting doesn't work and all these things. But I think if you have a man or a woman who can help you with the mindset that not only you need to have, but that the person that you want to be with needs to have, then that's something different. I don't think there's anything wrong with seeking out assistance for that. Pricing we could talk about later, but let's continue.
Oh, Anwar, he specializes in high earning women and just how they date. Yeah, because you finna pay that $10,000. Duh, of course he specializes in high earning women. What you mean? You his pocket. That part was funny. Like, again, I'm sorry. This situation is funny. You got online, told your story. People gonna talk about it, right? When she said she met her fiance on Hinge, I had to pause my video because I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Sometimes when you all piece videos together, I be thinking y'all lying. So I had seen in the comments of another comment section, they were like, and of all places, she found her fiance on Hinge after paying $10,000. I say, you're lying to me. Let me go to the source. Went to the source, y'all. Went to the source, went through those 14 videos because, like, you know, I'm doing chores around my house listening. And she said that at first she was anti online dating, and Anwar wasn't pressuring her, but he was trying to open her up to new things and what to look for when it comes to online dating. She tried Match, it didn't work.
I mean, I've also heard a lot of criticism in the streets for her using Hinge and him using, pushing her to do so. Oh, I could have done that myself. No, you couldn't have. Plenty of you girls are getting played off Hinge and other dating sites. You don't know how to utilize them. I do think that, like, again, a lot of you don't know how to date unless you're in a happy, loving relationship to prove that what she's accomplished for herself, because this wasn't some, like, from what I understand, she's a high earner, he's a high earner. Yeah, going through dating sites is kind of like going through a trash bin sometimes, but I have heard dating coaches that utilize it to get high earning men, because a lot of high earning men do use online dating. Because they may not have the time to go out and meet. And a lot of people, from the wealthy to the average being, feel that way. Again, you'll have to siphon through a lot of garbage, but I don't think it's impossible to meet someone that aligns with you, that could be high earning, and not even high earning, but giving, you know, so, because it's not really like, you can have a average man that will do his best to give you the world. It just depends on what your expectations are, what kind of lifestyle you live or want to live. So, I mean, she goes on a little bit, and for me, it just seemed like it just gave a little bit of bullying for me, this particular video. She's like laughing at this lady, but from what I heard, her and, like, we invest in so much, right? And she didn't just work with Anwar, she worked with a therapist. But let's get into it. Here's another reaction.
Hey, my babies, long time no chat. I've been trying to record this video, like, this is my 6th time. I just want to go ahead and get all this yapping out, okay? Because I'm here to get into the mess. I want to talk about this $10,000 dating coaching situation, okay? And I want to get into it with y'all. Why? Because couple of y'all have actually tagged me in the videos and then been DMing me about it because you want to know what my thoughts are. I'm here to give my at least 5 cents. I've got a nickel worth of thoughts on the situation. But I want to start by saying this, because a long time ago, back in 2021 and 2022, I was making a great deal of content that was centered around my dating life here on this app. Primarily, the content that I was making when I came here was about food and about romance and exploring, the act of like self-love and romance through food. And that was really what I wanted to focus in on. And then, of course, my dating stories, it just kind of kept blowing up. And then I was talking about that for a while. And during that entire process, I've never minded being super open about the things that I was experiencing with multi-dating, or, roster dating or whatever you might call it. I've always felt like my ability to be vulnerable and practical was very helpful for other people. But first and foremost, I was using this as an external processing platform for myself. Okay. And during that time, something that would come up a lot is that the girlies and a couple guys here and there would ask me if I offered dating coaching services, like dating consulting services. And every single time, as often as I was asked, my answer was always an immediate no. I'm like, I'm so flattered that like you think that is something that I would be able to help you with, but my answer has to be like a resolved no. And the reason for my resolution about that was, I think, firstly, I have a very generous and free relationship to language and also to emotion, right? Like I put words to feelings for myself and for others all the time. If you ever go to dinner with me, I'm going to pick up on something and I'm going to run. Okay. It makes for sometimes very uncomfortable dinner table conversation, but I am very, very good at like putting language to something and then carrying those feelings forward and getting very curious about it. It is the gift that I have had since I was teeny tiny. Okay. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble. I haven't always been the most emotionally responsible with it, which is the work that I do now for myself, is to be a better steward of my words about feelings. All right. But at the time, I was very free and very casual with it, right? And I think that because of that, I have never felt super comfortable with the idea of monetizing or commodifying, to use Talia's language, my gifting with that, right? And so that's piece number one, right? Like I just never really felt comfortable like charging for something that I would gladly sit and talk about over coffee for free and for funsies. All right. But the thing about that is, going back to the emotional responsibility piece, is that something that I used to say during my time in dating is like, I should not take you somewhere I'm not willing to keep you. Right. Which is the depths that I am willing to go casually for fun. I have had a tendency sometimes to pluck on some strings that people are not ready to have plucked. That was in dating. That is in family. That is in life. I have to be extra, extra careful with that. So what I found was that the emotional liability was simply more than I was willing to take on. Now, the other piece of this is there are some people who are just genuinely, truly hard to coach. And from an ethical perspective, no amount of money would have made them less difficult for me to manage. Right. I think the thing that people forget about coaching is that it is still people management. I did not have a desire. Some people are really good at this, right? And are able to extrapolate their feelings out from the transaction. I am not one of those people. I am very thoroughly invested in a lot of the things that I do and a lot of the people that I love. I am not the vessel for that sort of work. But the thing that I also found is that folks are really defensive about their relationships to love, right? The absence of it, the presence of it, the desire for, the absence or presence of desire, the absence or presence of sex. People have very complicated relationships with it while also wanting it, while also rejecting it. And I find that the way that I give advice is you get it from me twice, and then maybe that is it. I am so sorry. I do not have time to do that level. And I'll hold your hand all the way up into the point. And then it is for you to grab, right? So I simply don't think that I have that sort of bandwidth. However, I do think that if this was something that I was having to put a price point on the emotional labor that is required, it would absolutely have been at a premium.
And that was something that I didn't think a lot of people were necessarily taking into consideration. Like they're like, oh, $10,000 for you to send me on Hinge for me to do. That's not what she paid $10,000 for. there's even when she talks about the access that she gained to him to get his advice, to talk things out, to kind of get out of her own way, he spent a lot of time talking to her, coaching her, right? And again, a lot of people are like, that's common sense. That's common sense. No, actually, some people really don't know how to foster relationships with people because of their trauma. They need someone to kind of help them. Is this thought coming from trauma? Am I responding from trauma? Or am I being logical? Am I maybe over exaggerating? Not to say that your feelings are your feelings, but sometimes when the reaction to your feelings is from trauma, it is harder to navigate for some people, right? Depending on how much work they actually need to have done in this area. So for me, I was a tarot card reader, and I still do it for entertainment purposes. This is one of the reasons why I don't do personals like that. And if you enjoy that type of thing, join my channel. My other channel, the link will be below. It's Black Fairy Guidance. But I don't do, because a lot of people come and their traumas are so great and they dump on you and they want a reading. They come to you about the same things over and over again. It is exhausting emotionally and mentally, period. It really is. So that's what she was paying for. And over the span of a year, I really don't think it's that much, but let her finish.
I don't know that $10,000 is that premium. I think 10,000 is still quite high, right? But people derive value the way that they feel like they derive value. But the other thing is, what I have found as a high achieving woman myself, and also as a woman who is also surrounded by high achieving women, is that there is this feeling, I know somebody who's going to be mad when I say this. A lot of people view love as a meritocracy. Love is not a meritocracy. I am so sorry. Love is not the reward for, the degree. Love is not the reward for the achievement. Love is not the reward for the end of your fitness journey. Love is an inner journey. And every so often you get the opportunity to share that inner journey with someone externally to build a life around it. But I have found that there were so many people, not just women, who felt like, okay, I'd achieved all of these things. I am deserving of my partner now. And unfortunately, babes, that is simply not enough. And that is some of the hardest shit I've ever had to explain to literally anyone. Now, because a lot of people do not want to hear that, the other thing that they don't want to hear is that enough of them are not willing to do the internal work to get comfortable with the vulnerability of the external work that is dating. Dating is an active practice. Dating is an exercise in reasonable amounts of discomfort. Dating is an exercise in removing ego, and dating is an exercise, good dating that yields openness as a result. I won't say that relationships are the result of dating. I don't know that I totally think that's true. I think that they can be. But I don't think if you go into it with the goal of I am dating to get into a relationship, as opposed to I am dating to learn about myself and about others. I am dating so that I can be open to recognizing what love is and also what it isn't. If you are not going into dating or coaching or any of these other experiences with the desire to really sit and think and learn how to feel okay with the feeling of loneliness that the disappointment of dating might bring to you. Mm-hmm. If you're not ready to do that, then maybe you could use some coaching, but that coaching is only going to take you but so far. Okay. And I feel like a lot of people have a hard time sort of receiving that, because they think that if you are successful in these other highly crucial and status defining areas of your life, that it should be easy for you to translate that into other things. And sometimes it's a little harder than people think. And I think that we all have to kind of give ourselves a lot more grace, but that is ultimately a difficulty for a lot of folks, and they're just unwilling to kind of sit with that. Now, the last piece I will say is actually, I don't think it should be controversial. I can't speak today. But somebody's probably going to say that it is, which is a lot of the dating coaching advice, the femininity advice, the soft life advice that the girls are getting these days is just sex work. And I'm going to let that breathe for a second. Because a lot of what is happening, a lot of the discourse, and I don't believe that this is Anwar at all. So this is, at this point, this is actually no longer even about him. But what this is about is the fact that there is a lot of impractical and unsafe, okay, and uninitiated advice that's floating around on the internet, creating really harmful situations for both women and men. It's setting impractical expectations for both women and men about what it is going to be like to engage in a healthy, reciprocal, loving relationship with one another. I think that the thing that
I definitely agree with her. I do think that if you do want coaching, I don't think you should be watching the free videos. I think there's only so much you can gain. You should really be in therapy at the very least, if not a dating coach. Before you even get a dating coach, I think that there should be some therapy, some self-work done, because if you want to deal with men, with what we know, if you look at the statistics of everything that's going on, the violence coming from men, I mean, men are our highest predators, ladies. So again, many of us weren't equipped into a family that would teach us these things. Again, that fairy tale idea about love and how relationships work, a lot of girls, a lot of women have that indoctrination that society has given us, that I'm doing the work to break down now, right? And I'm sharing that here, but let's be real, a lot of women are still indoctrinated. And I think a lot of the things that she's saying is true. That's why I wanted to play kind of both sides. One person that was really like, well, I'll say is unempathetic to women like Shirley, and then someone who kind of gets it in regards to the costs and in regards to what you're actually paying for as a service. Because let me tell you, there were a lot of videos just going in on this lady who spent this money, which honestly, she has it. You know, she has it to spend, which I think is also a difference, and why some people can't fathom, because they don't have it. They couldn't imagine that. But I do think if you invest in yourself and in your healing, and you do want to date men, because there are heterosexual women, not everybody is bisexual, not everyone's okay with being by themselves. I think to an extent that makes sense. I think you should know how to be lonely. I think you should know how to be by yourself, but wanting companionship, wanting relationships, it shouldn't, and outside of the norm of just friendships and things like that, like wanting sexual relationship, like these are all human things that we all, like, maybe not all feel on the same scale, but we all do to some extent want. Some people can find it enough with friendships. Others maybe not so much. We've all come here to experience life differently. And I think there should be some empathy and respect for where women are. I don't think that the patriarchal woman is necessarily an enemy. Can she be an enemy? I do think in certain ways she can be an enemy. But I think that, again, extending more grace to women who are just out here just trying to live their best life, and remembering that the vision that they were given of what that could look like as a woman most likely involved a man, right? I'm just going to let it finish off, but she made some amazing points that I also agree with in regards to the costs and the whole dating coach, whether it's needed. I mean, she did end up with what she wanted, right? So is it going to last? I mean, nothing lasts usually. I think we need to get that out of our minds, that it has to last forever. But I do think that there's value in these experiences. But let me finish this.
that people have to realize is sex work literally comes with its own set of rules, right? It literally is like it's a specialized.
Oh, and I don't have any hate for the ladies who be doing the SW. I don't. in a way, I kind of envy them. They're one of the strongest women that ever come across to deal with these men, but also I don't have a problem with them using, segs to fund their lifestyle. I mean, if you have a real problem with it, then why don't you take it up with the people who consume it, which is, again, mostly men. Women are just trying to get by in an oppressive world, taking back their power.
$10,000.
I don't think that is something that, how can I say this? I don't think it's something that should be issue. I don't think it should be. But I do want to take a look at Anwar, right? Because there was a lot of judgment of him. I don't have a problem with Anwar, but I think if you're going to understand, and again, what he teaches and how he helps women, we should listen. We should listen to what he has to say. So I am going to share the screen. This interview is located in the description below. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I am going to speed it up. Let me just share. Oops. Give me a second. I'm still learning. So this is Off the Record. They are a podcast. They had Anwar on. He is going to talk about what he does, his credentials, and let's see. Let me just go to playback speed. Let's do 1.5 because it's 47 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing anyways, but I also don't want to make this too long. Okay, let's get into what Anwar has to say.
And I got my MBA as well. So I think I look at things and I want to make sure.
Hold on. Let me go back just a little bit.
What you do? A mess.
We love it.
I'm a hot mess. No, so to your point, I think about
day and age, especially with dating, we want to know what it's really like out there and we want it to be research based. So for those who aren't familiar with you, how would you describe yourself and what you do?
a mess.
We love it.
I'm a hot mess. No, so to your point, I think about dating and relationships from a qualitative and quantitative perspective. I think it's really important. I'm not someone who's like, which I think, respectfully speaking, a lot of people out there are. And so I think it's important for people to feel very informed about what's the real deal when it comes to dating. I mean, I work with 300 women at a time. So I'm on the ground floor. I'm working with 300 damn women at a time. And so I understand exactly what it really looks like. And because I have and work with so many people, I have my own data set. I was an undergrad statistics major. And I got my MBA as well. So I think I look at things.
So right there, he's an undergrad statistics major. And he has an MBA as well. So again, the way that he goes about coaching comes from an educated perspective, statistics, being a man, gay or not, knowing other men, being in the room with men. Like, I'm sure he's more privy to the mind of men than we are, simply because he is one. So, I mean, I do think it's kind of going a little bit too quick. Let me go to 1.25 and see if that's a little better.
Things, and I want to make sure, especially when it comes to Black and brown women who I work with primarily, that they have the facts, that they know exactly like what it looks
Sorry, I don't know
for them and what their journey will look like, just based on like.
Let me just pause this for a second. I am not used to StreamYard. I'm sharing. I don't know why it is acting up, but
okay, you got to know that like your match rate is going to be 44% versus a white girl's who's 55%. You got to know that your conversation rate is going to be 18%, whereas a white girl's conversation rate on an app is going to be 33%. So based on that, we have to navigate differently when it comes to your dating journey.
So how did you get into this industry, this career field?
Yeah, so like I said, I got my MBA from an Ivy League institution, and I would reach out to all of my girlfriends after we graduated, and everything would be going well for them, right? They had the job, they had the car, they had the amazing home, they traveled 6 times a year, but their love life was shit. And I was like, I'm a very type A person. And so I was like, girl, you're amazing. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I was like, let's just get this solved for you. And that's kind of what I would do. I would like help them with their apps. I would help them conversate and engage with, the guys they were talking to. And before I knew it, they were in relationships within a couple of months. And within a couple of years, they were engaged or married. And at that time, I was managing billion-dollar businesses and fashion and all of that. And I was like, I like this a little bit more. So I'm going to lean into this a little bit more. But I have to be honest with you. I've really been doing this ever since I was in elementary school, helping the boys talk to the girls and the girls talk to the boys on the playground. So I just feel like it was something that I've always been meant to do.
Let me ask you, objectively speaking, has the dating pool gotten worse? Is there P where there once?
And I believe him. I don't think it's like a hustle for him. I think he actually finds joy with it. And I know because he's a man, a lot of us just assume that the intentions are bad. I get it because most men's intentions are bad, but I don't get that vibe. I'm not going to say all gay men, but I do find gay men do have more protection of women. I've seen them be more protective of women. I've seen them be more honest about the nature of men. Women are catching on. I'm seeing a lot more content of women catching on. Obviously, they're not popular, these men, because they're not peddling what men want to hear, like the red pill content. But I've seen a few men here and there. And do I trust them completely? No, I don't think I'll ever come across a man that I will trust completely 100%. I think I'll always have a little bit of a guard up with men just because of not only my own experience, but like you said, the statistics, not just he's using statistics in the sense of dating, but statistics in the regards to violence, in regards to other things. I mean, most women, and that's the thing, go through a lot of men in order to get the one that works for them. And we're all individuals, so it's going to look different for everybody. And it may change, it may evolve, but I mean, he's clearly educated. But let's continue.
Once wasn't.
I think it's a great question. I would say that I think society has changed and gender dynamics have changed and culture has changed. And based on those changes, as well as our own awareness and our own vocabulary about what's really going on with us and social media and technology, it has made things much more complicated. Ultimately, I don't necessarily think people have changed that much. I just think that because of the things that I just talked about, right? For example, technology. Before we would just, marry somebody in our town.
Our EnerCare technicians are experts at heating and cooling.
I meant to mute that. But I definitely, what he's talking about makes complete sense to me. Oh my gosh, another commercial. It's all good.
Right?
Yeah.
And now you can talk to someone in Singapore if you wanted to right now. Before, men made more money and the gender roles and dynamics were very clear. That's not the case anymore, especially if you're a Black or a brown woman. Like the data and the statistics say that like if you tease out the married individuals, because women make 20% less when they're married and men.
That's actually not true. Women have always kind of worked. The average woman did not have to work. I want to read I'm actually reading right now When God Was a Woman. So if you want to, please like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell so you know, but I've been reading When God Was a Woman, and it's exploring what life was like before patriarchy for women. There's another book that I want to read that goes over like the working class. Women have always worked. I mean, even when you watch those movies, you see like that they helped run the husband's shop. They helped, while raising children, while doing all these things. Women working, staying home, that gender dynamic was always very toxic because the women actually did majority of the work because they did the child rearing and work, and many of the men also worked as well. But this whole toxic vibe that we're seeing now, that we're seeing women withdraw from more and more as the years go by, yeah, there's a reason, loves.
Men make 20% more when they're married, that single Black women make more than single Black men. And that changes the dynamics of, well, who pays for this? Well, how do we split up the finances? Who has, therefore, more control or power in the relationship? So those are the things that make it more complicated. But to answer your question more directly, I don't necessarily think people have changed. I just think that the ocean is bigger. And so because as humans, we have a negativity bias, you're going to have many more people that aren't your match than are. And that makes it feel like it's worse.
So you obviously have a lot of clients and you've been in this industry for quite some time. What is the number one problem that you find women bring to you?
They say that there aren't enough quality men out there.
And what are they looking for when they say that?
They're
Is it
looking
income
for,
based?
They're looking for 6 figures, 6-pack, 6 feet tall.
Man, why?
Is that realistic?
So I'm always of the opinion that like your type is not your type, that actually your type is your trauma. And when you're able to actually heal the trauma, you will have the opportunity to actually widen your net and find your person. So that's like what I do with my clients to make sure that they're not missing their person because they're not ready for them.
Let's get into that.
That's interesting. I do think that that's very true. I think women have this outlandish idea of what love is, what you should be looking for, what that looks like for them. I think a lot of women date from trauma. They date from hurt. They date from wanting some societal acceptance. Many women look at marriage as an achievement. They feel judged if they haven't found the person, even though, again, in this day and age, finding that person is rare, right? In regards to this perfect relationship life. But I just wanted to show this because I wanted to show a little bit about Anwar. Let me just take a quick little break. I'll be right back and we'll continue. Hey, you guys, it's your girl, Dana Patrice, aka the Black Fairy. And I am just here to remind you, please like, share, comment, subscribe, okay? Click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos or any new lives, okay? I will be coming here with more and more information, so please, you don't want to miss out. And this is just a quick reminder and a quick thank you because it's a free way to support the channel and to support me. I love y'all. So again, Anwar goes into it. This is just a little bit of the beginning. He goes like I wanted to necessarily talk about like that. He's not just out here just dating from a point of just regular advice, like a lot of people just kind of took off with in regards to just, going to his page and hearing his advice. He's actually quite educated. He's actually quite nuanced. He understands. He says in this video that he won't even take certain women because they need therapy, and he'll be like, come back after you're done, like 6 months of therapy, things like that, because he does recognize that the mental health of the person that he's trying to help matters, and that if they're not in a certain aspect mentally, that he's not going to be able to help them succeed in the dating world if they're dating from trauma. I do believe that, although I think decentering men, I don't think this should be like, I don't think it should be a goal for women, but I understand that women want it. As someone who is decentering men, as someone who is like, this patriarchy sucks. If I were to start dating again, because I am a heterosexual woman, if I were to start dating again, I wouldn't be against getting a dating coach. I'm doing therapy. I'm working on myself, and I have been, especially these last 2 years. I've come such a long way. I definitely wouldn't date the same as I was, but I understand the value. I understand the value in mentorship. I understand the value that a dating coach would give me, based on the fact that I am someone who grew up not being taught how to date, right? So, I wouldn't be able to go to my elders, because my elders do have a very patriarchal mindset, a very Christian mindset as to what that would even look like. So it wouldn't resonate with me anyways, because I'm not that kind of woman. And I'm not looking for that kind of man. So if I want the kind of man that I would want to be with, if I were to begin dating again, if I were to begin to look into it again, it would definitely be like on the dating coach vibe. I have taken courses about dating when I thought I was ready. So I've made little investments, because I do think that I can do it on my own. But I had to get certain advice to even understand what it is that I wanted to do if I wanted a particular person, what that would look like even for me, and if I was even willing to make that bend in myself in order to have that kind of man. Because I do think at the end of the day, if you are dating a man, to some extent, depending on the man, you may have to be a certain way, show up a certain way. And if that's not your vibe, if that's not what you're willing to do, then it just may not be for you. And that is okay too. Like, we don't have to get with anybody to be valuable, right? There's that whole idea that this is an achievement that you have to mark off in womanhood. That's BS. It's bullshit. It's a lie that Michael Jackson is making me, you know what I mean? So, like,
it was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
Right? Like, if you're going back into the dating culture and think that you don't need to understand men, how they think, what men like that are maybe particularly looking for, you're doomed to keep repeating the loop of just the never-ending red flag men that you'll be walking through, right? So I'm going to play a little bit more, and then we're going to get back into Shirley White, because I definitely want to bring it back around to her and why she really, went forward with it, and why she believes that the value is there, 10,000 or not. She would have doubled it if she could. Let's get
Your type is your trauma. That's a loaded statement. What do you mean by that?
What I mean is, as humans, we will always be trying to fill our voids. And so what will happen is, so for example, there are some ladies out there that like them a little bit older. It's probably because you have a father wound that you're going to need to deal with. Mm-hmm. Some of the ladies out there, they like the uglier guys. That's no shade. It's often because they have an abandonment wound and they think that these guys won't leave them. Yeah. So those are examples, right? Yeah. Bad boys, right? Some people have types of bad boys. It's because they're good girls and they haven't actually navigated the totality of who they are and the bad parts of themselves, the Christian girls, the school girls, you know? And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying, like, your type is your trauma, and that, like, once you're able to heal those things inside of yourself, you'll be able to actually be open to the fact that, like, oh, like I always tell my clients, like,
the most financially successful people
the nerds are, if you say that this guy's corny, then he has the potential to be your husband.
Is that what you mean when you say, or maybe you meant something different, your dream guy is not necessarily your husband?
That's 100% correct. That's 100% correct.
Is that a little bit of also being realistic?
Yes. And I think a lot of people are not realistic because of the paradox of choice that I was talking about earlier, right? When you have thousands of people at your fingertips, one can feel like, I don't have to talk to these people because there's always going to be something bigger and better out there. And so a lot of people are skipping out on totally fine individuals because they're trying to maximize.
I feel like men aren't afraid to shoot outside of their league, right? Whether it's attraction level level, if they, go for the woman that is gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous, even if he doesn't match her. But women are always being told to be humble, stay in your place, don't have too high the standards. So what are realistic standards? Like, how do you even know what are realistic standards for what you bring to the table?
I think you're 100% correct. I think that a lot of men, they shoot their shots outside of their bracket maybe, but they do that professionally as well in their career. So this is a socialization that I think women are starting to actually change the way that they're thinking about it, right? I think the reason why things are really hard is because women are actually not settling like they used to as much. And so we have this loneliness epidemic, male loneliness epidemic that so many people talk about because, I'm not going to settle as much. And so I think it's great. I'm excited about that. I think that my hope is...
We've talked about this on this channel as well. Check out some of my other videos. We've definitely talked about even the Matilda fact, the fact that men have the audacity, right, to go for what they want. Like, women are just, and it's programmed in us that we can't be like that, that is a masculine thing, and it's definitely not. I'm glad to see that that's something that's changing, especially in the dating world. Although, like I said, a lot of women are really opting out of the dating world right now. Again, that he brought up the loneliness epidemic. It's a very real thing.
Is that both men and women decide to do their own work so that they can be the people that are ready for the best relationship of their lives. But to answer your question more directly, you were talking about how women are often told to settle. And I think that there is an important decision that women need to make when it comes to their list, right? I think that one of the things, I talk to women every day, and oftentimes the things that are on their list do not correlate with a successful relationship outcome. They're talking more about their wants, but not necessarily their needs. Yeah, I want someone who's funny too, but does that mean that that's going to drive you for a 30 or 40-year relationship or marriage? Not necessarily. But things like attention, being cherished, unconditional love, nurturing, protection, respect of boundaries. These are all relationship needs that I think are very important. And I will just say that the way that I want people to think about their own needs on their list is based on what they didn't receive from their parents. So that is the work that I want everyone to kind of do to make sure that they're really focused on what's going to sustain them more than anything else.
You've said it before, which I found fascinating. Charisma and all of that kind of wears off after the first 18 months. And then it gets real. Elaborate the honeymoon phase?
Exactly. Chemically speaking, the spark, chemistry, which is what a lot of people actually focus on, fades within 18 months. And that's why you have a lot of relationships, marriages that are ending in the first 2 years, which is more prevalent, I think, in Black and brown communities than other communities. But a lot of us really focus on the physicality, the chemistry, because many of us, I think that there are 3 ways to connect.
And it's important to say, if you are Black or brown, that we do come from a different community. We do have different things going on that require honing in on if you are going out into the dating world. That's why I appreciate that he's really looked into it. I know that there's a professor is married for white people. I can't remember his name right now because it just came to me, but he also did a book on it, and he was talking about like women, Black women specifically, needing to go outside their race, needing to, if they want this aspect of life, this idea of marriage, and looking how dating is different for us, and how usually the things that are beneficial for Black and brown women to do aren't really promoted to us, and how it's holding us back from getting ahead in this aspect. Because I do think it's kind of easier to get ahead if you do have a man beside you, but again, because of the patriarchy that we're in. So although I'm not participating necessarily at this time, again, if I were to consider, you know what, I want to date, I want to see if I can, find something for myself, I would, one, be prepared for disappointment. I would be prepared to probably have to go through having a roster, needing to open up my options a bit, things like that, in order to be successful, if that's something that I wanted. Right now, it's not something that I want, so it is what it is. But I agree with a lot of what he's saying in regards to our mindsets, our community, across the globe. Because I think a lot of Black women specifically, I can't speak for other people of color, but for Black women specifically, we definitely do feel it on a world scale basis in regards to the men that we have around us. Despite our cultural differences, the men are kind of mentally the same. And that's because the men are usually brought up in a patriarchal setting and platform that gives them this idea that women are less, that what position women are supposed to play. So it's very, it's hard to find a good man, but it's hard to find a good man who is not misogynistic, who is emotionally intelligent. Men and women have to do the work, but we see it now that women are mostly doing the work, men are not, which is why there's this big gap, and that continues to widen between men and women.
Physically, intellectually, and emotionally. And when you grow up like us, we don't talk a lot about feelings in the home. We're kind of just told what to do and what we should do, and we kind of do it, which means that many of us are emotionally stunted. And what happens is we will overly compensate for that emotional connection with physical, which is the spark, which is chemistry, or the intellectual. He's got to be educated, right? I want to talk to him about the art that I saw at the museum. Like, he's got to be able to, and it is because
but I think you guys can watch the video yourselves. He goes into a lot of great information. If you are a woman who is thinking about getting back into the dating game, I definitely don't think that it's an issue to hire a dating coach. And we're going to go into Shirley's video with Jessi Woo, which is also in the description box below if you'd like access to it. And because, again, she went through a lot of scrutiny. Pause it. Okay, paused. She went through a lot of scrutiny herself in regards to her decision. I definitely understand her decision. Jessi was such a beautiful woman. I definitely do understand. I think we need to create space for understanding. We need to create space for empathy for these women. But before we get into it, I'm just going to place a little thing while I get this together. Hold on. I'm just going to place a little commercial while I get this together for us.
Hey, y'all. Do you need a gratitude journal? Well, if you do, me, myself, and I, Dana Patrice, aka the Black Fairy, have gratitude journals available for sale in the link below. They go for $6.99 USD, and no worries. By clicking the link in the bio, it will send you straight to your country and to your currency. So don't worry about that. But just to give you a rough estimate, it is $6.99. Now, if you didn't know, gratitude is one of the best ways to not only affirm what it is that you want in your life, but to affirm what it is you want to see in your life. With that being said, this is a great tool and opportunity for you to take a part of. It's an inexpensive way for you to tap into the law of attraction. I highly, highly recommend it. And I love y'all. Link in the bio below.
Okay, so let's get into it. I'm hoping that because I let that little sit for a bit, that it won't pause. But we're going to get into just a couple of things with Jessi Woo. The beautiful Miss Jessi Woo. It was a great interview with Shirley. A deeper depth into why she made the decision, why she thought it was a good investment. And I think it's good for all of us to hear again, I didn't really, people were really hating on her, but she makes some great points. And I think just to close off this, we're just going to take a little peek into her mindset of what made her do this. And then I'll give my final thoughts, and hopefully you'll give your thoughts and you are giving your thoughts in the comments section below.
What's up, guys? It's your sister, Jessi Woo. Welcome to another episode of Just a Couple Things, y'all. Your favorite podcast. Before we continue, though, are you subscribed to your favorite podcast?
Man.
See, and that's why, how am I your favorite? How am I your favorite if you're not subscribed? Come on now, you gotta do better than that. I need you to go ahead and click follow on Apple Podcasts. So if you're the Apple people, click follow on Apple Podcasts. If you're the Spotify people, click follow on the Spotify people podcast. Find just a couple things on every platform that streams podcasts. And when you hit follow, you get the episode first. And baby, if you didn't get this episode first, baby, you missed out. You missed out because this is a very, very, very special episode. All right, so let's just hop right on in. We have a special guest. We have a young lady by the name of Shirley Williams. Shirley Williams broke TikTok last week. Okay, I was minding my business, minding other people's business, and I was on Threads, and I saw a video clip that said, "Hey, my name is Shirley. I paid $10,000 for a dating coach, and now I'm engaged. Bring a ling-a-ling, a ling-a-ling-a-ling." Okay, and I thought to myself, "Wow, this story is so fascinating. I have so many thoughts." But who better to discuss this video with or this topic with other than the woman who broke TikTok herself, Miss Shirley Williams. Shirley Williams, how you doing today?
I'm good. Jessi, I love you. You are just, you have so much personality and pizzazz. I'm like just melting over here watching you work.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. Listen, I love you back. I love you too. I love your story. I have so much respect for you for being brave and coming online and telling your story and not being afraid to share it. I think that it's something to honor and something to respect. So girl, I love you too. And I love that we get to have this sit down. Before we even get into the TikTokery of it all, I want to just have an opportunity to get to know you better. Okay. I know that you said you're 39 years old. You are the owner of a 7-figure content creating studio. I want to get to know more about you as the businesswoman, because baby, only a businesswoman.
And that's what I'm saying. She's a very successful businesswoman. She ain't investing in just anything. This idea that she's, and I understand the idea that she's desperate, but a lot of us are desperate to have the lives that we want. And a lot of us aren't even willing to put in the work or put our money where our mouth is in order to manifest these kind of things. Again, there's a lot to admire from her for doing what she's done to get to where she wants to be, to have the life that she wants and that she's envisioned for herself. So I don't know, like, she got a lot of heat, but I kind of understand. I understand.
Only a woman of a certain caliber to spend $10,000 on a dating coach, okay? We're going to get to that much later. But first and foremost, talk to us about who you are, the business that you have, what you guys have done. Because I looked at your website and I was like, okay, no, she's actually killing it. She's partnered with a lot of people. You know what? Go ahead and just toot your own horn, because I can get in the habit of tooting somebody else's horn. Toot your own horn. Let us know who you are and what do you do.
Happily. So yeah, my name is Shirley Williams. I always like to lead with who I am in spirit first. I am a child of God. I am a daughter, a sister, a friend, a now fiance. I am joyous and kind and loving and all those things. And I happen to be the CEO of Willie B Studios. We are a 7-figure content studio. So I like to say we specialize in the business of storytelling. I am a storyteller by nature. I love, love, love telling stories. Ever since I was a little girl, I remember my uncles would always tell my parents, that girl gonna make you a lot of money, because I just love telling stories. Everything was a story. Everything was a production. And so now I get to do it for a living. I get to work with incredible brands who are doing just incredible things in the marketplace, where they have a product, a mission, an initiative, and we get to bring story and further it. And it's always rooted in some sort of purpose. We are a purpose-driven a content studio. But yeah, I mean, that's to sum it up. I can go wherever you want me to go in terms of who I am.
Well, I want to also, because right now, not to be rude, I just want people to know I'm on her website. I want to go back because I remember seeing a list of all the brands that you worked with, and I was very impressed by that. Microsoft, AT&T, Toyota, Adidas, CDC. Can you kind of talk to us about what are the services that Willie B Studios provides when you are partnering with these brands?
It's so much fun. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So where a brand, let's say they have a campaign and they're like, we want to reach this demographic. We want to reach this market. Shirley, can you and your team package story around it? So we'll come in, we'll help develop, we'll help ideate, we'll think about what we can build that can work narratively in a social space, in a digital space. And then we're the creators of that. We're responsible for that. We do full service production. So we hire all the teams. All of our teams are insanely diverse. Actually, the majority of our core team, I have a staff of 6 or 7, I believe, majority Black women, interns, high executives. Yes, majority Black women. And yeah, we handle full service production. So we go out, we shoot it, we film. I direct most of the content and we bring it back. We pack.
Can I just say that that's absolutely amazing? She's super accomplished in her career, and now she wants to be accomplished in her love life. She took things into her own hands. Let me let her toot her own horn, just like Jessi Woo was saying. But She's definitely, I feel like people didn't give her enough credit.
Package it together and we offer it to our partners, and then they go out and they pump it out into the digital space.
Perfect. So just for people to understand too, like let's say Essence Fest is coming up, right? And they want some marketing material out there, maybe to live, on socials, maybe on Instagram. They want to do an Instagram rollout. They want to do a Facebook rollout. They want to do a Twitter rollout, and TikTok. These are all the socials where this kind of content will live on. Maybe they want some influencers to talk about Essence Fest in their YouTube videos. So basically, Willoughby Studios jumps in. They will go ahead and
Oh man, that's so annoying.
Create the content. They will get the influencers, because I just want people to understand from my perspective how that usually happens. Like I remember recently BT had a show, and sometimes they'll reach out, hey, we have a show coming out. Can you do an integration on your podcast? You review a lot of shows. So BT, yes, they're doing a rollout, but a lot of times these networks will go to an entity such as Shirley's.
Exactly. So a BET will come to us, anything within the Viacom family, History Channel, A&E, or brand specific, they will come to us and say, we want you to not only develop and ideate, we also want you to execute and to deliver to us a product. We also work a lot with influencers, pro athletes, like thinking about Essence Fest, they'll say, hey, we want to build content around Essence Fest. And then I'll say, oh my gosh, we should reach out to Jessi Woo and see about Jessi Woo doing, doing some story around being at Essence Fest, being inspired by Essence Fest, going on a journey to Essence Fest. So we bring Jessi into the story and execute it and figure out the best way to tell it in a way that makes Jessi look great, in a way that supports the Essence brand.
Exactly. So I hear you speak a lot about, listen, this is a 7-figure studio. Talk to me about why that's so important, and also what are your future aspirations when it comes to Willoughby Studios?
Yeah. So when I did the TikTok content, one of the reasons why I said, let me say this is a 7-figure business is because
I just want to move ahead. Into why she did this and everything like that. Her credentials are amazing. You can watch the video below. It is in the description box if you're very interested in her story and what she does.
seconds of content. And so this is my thinking as to why I posted it. And I was like, I also want people to scarcity wound, but I have triggered something on the relationship side.
The eruption in your mind.
And I thought it was a great investment. It helped me choose wisely. And then I hit send. And then I went about my business, got to work. Then I checked on it later on that night, and I saw it started to get some traction. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, people are responding to this. And then it just ballooned from there.
Yeah. So when you got back in the Clock app and you see just the eruption in your mind, what were your first initial thoughts?
So the first initial thoughts were, there was so much positivity. Like, kudos to you, girl. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy that I can help people and inspire people. It was when them ladies on that internet started to drag me. And I was like, oh, I've triggered something. I've brought something up. I think a lot of it has to do with money wounds, scarcity wound, but I have triggered something on the relationship side of TikTok that is pissing people off. And so I continue to engage.
That's so true. A lot of the women who were criticizing her were criticizing the amount of money. I do suspect that they themselves don't have access to that kind of money to spend. So the idea of spending $10,000 as an investment for you to find a partner, to be married, to be engaged, seems ludicrous. Something that you would not do, because if you had $10,000, you'd probably be paying off your debt. You'd probably be doing all these things, but she had it. So she was definitely right. I do definitely think that a lot of the women who are criticizing her do have money moves. They don't have access to that kind of money. They've never been that successful. That's why they can't see the value in what she received as far as mentorship. Again, we could criticize whether she could have went to a woman or not. But at the end of the day, she found someone that worked for her, and she implemented to do the work so that she could ultimately get the results that she wanted.
Do you feel like continuing to engage has been a positive? Because I do feel that, although I said to you at the top of this, I feel like a lot of the things that you have said has gotten lost in translation. Yeah. Because if you're not, a lot of people will see that first initial video and they will make their judgment based on that first initial video. Yes. And then that's it. You're not going to get as many people who see that, hey, I spent $10,000 on a dating coach. Those people, most of the time, don't go back and go look at all the videos. And so I feel like a lot of the negativity that you probably have seen is because they didn't actually go and listen to every single video. But I like that you said that you woke up money wounds, scarcity wounds. I love that you said that. And I'm going to put a pin on that because I want to come back to it.
Okay.
In that initial video, you said something. You said you spent 13 years in a relationship that didn't go anywhere. And I also believe that it was either that video or another video that you had where you said, listen, I didn't know how to date. My mama didn't know how to date. My aunties didn't know how to date. And so I lost 13 good young years of my life.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to make smart decisions when it came to dating and mating. Can you kind of talk to me about that?
Yeah. Thanks be to God. He gave me the wisdom to freeze my eggs because they meet.
Oh, praise the Lord.
That clock
Praise
is real.
the Lord. Yeah.
I was in a long-term relationship with someone for 13 years. Now, when I was in it, it was great. It was good. We had a phenomenal friendship. We had a great
Like I said, she's a patriarchal woman. And I did a quick shorts where a woman talked about the patriarchal woman. So again, this aspect of how could she think that, like, why would she do that? How could she think that that was work? She's a patriarchal woman. She believes in a patriarchal religion that puts a lot of emphasis on women being married, giving birth, having children. So you're seeing the patriarchal wounds that are open, that have opened up why she felt that this was even necessary for her. I don't think it's the complete reason. Again, there's that human side of us that really just want companionship, and that ideal story that has been fed to us since we were little girls. So again, that's where I was like, I think we should have a lot more grace for her, because I used to be that woman. There was a point where I believed this, where I felt as she did. I don't know if I would have, well, I probably wouldn't have had the money then, but I definitely understand the feeling. And I honestly kind of, I think she did what was right for her. I don't know, y'all. Like, what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. We're going to continue a little bit, but I'm not going to play this whole thing.
connection. Our families were families. It was a really good relationship. And at the end, there was never, it wasn't toxic. It wasn't bad. It ended because we became two different individuals and we could not align in our values. We could not align in mission. So the best thing for us to do was to go our separate ways.
Okay.
But in that, right, coming out of that, it was so painful. It was awful because it felt like a death. I have been connected to this person 13 years. Yeah. I have been connected to this person for over a decade. Our friends were for everything. We did everything together. And so I immediately went into therapy, and being in therapy, I learned so much about myself, why I chose him, why I stayed so long, knowing that I knew probably 11 years before that this probably wasn't going to work. But not consciously, subconsciously, internally. It wasn't a thing that was in the present mind. And so it was being in therapy and seeing these patterns that I had and these types of men that I was attracted to. I think we overuse the anxious, avoidant, and all that. But I was more of an anxious person. He was more of an avoidant person. If I could like use language that would, visualize what type of people we were or how I experienced us in this relationship together. But it was being in therapy and doing a lot of healing work and understanding that I was addicted to the comfort. I was it wasn't because I saw myself with this man. It was just like, oh no, he's what I know. It's safety in the knowing, perceived safety. Yeah. So it did not work out. And so being in therapy really helped me to see some things. And then I got into a situationship and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this man is not that interested in me. If he was, he would do something about it. He would choose it. There would be a commitment. Right. And so I decided to go on a 2-year hiatus. And I was just like, I was forced into a 2-year hiatus. I don't think it was a conscious choice. Both of my parents became, they got into health crisis. My father was diagnosed with cancer. My mother was diagnosed with a brain injury. I was building my business. I was literally consumed with caregiving, consumed with taking care of them. And 2 years into that whole experience, I'm like, I have not done anything to invest in my future family other than freeze my eggs. But what's that when I don't have some sperm, right? So it was me.
Bluntly speaking.
Yeah. I had to think about it. I'm like, well, Shirley, you literally have a coach for every area of your life. I have a financial advisor. I have a fitness trainer. I have an executive coach. I have a business coach. I have a therapist. Go get a dating coach. I was like, duh. So then I started seeking one out, and then that's how I got Anwar.
Yeah. Let me go back a little bit because you were talking about the 13-year relationship that you were in, and we know.
So here's a woman who is successful, and she's telling you, I've done this for everything else, every other part of her life. And she is a 7-figure income earner. She has gotten a mentor. I think a lot of us, especially people of color, Black women, we put a lot of pressure on us to be able to figure it out on our own, getting it up out the mud, not seeking out help, not investing in money to have someone help us. And it's really at our detriment. It really is. Whether you choose a man to mentor you or a woman to mentor you, I do think it's important, especially if you're going to a new avenue or building a business. Mentorship is so important. I talked about this in my Men in the Audacity videos. A lot of the solutions to the issues that we see for women in academia is that we don't have enough mentorship programs. So I don't understand why the idea, and people probably will like, I understand that getting a financial advisor, I understand getting a financial mentor, a therapist, but not on dating. I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know what the issue is. I definitely see where she's coming from. I definitely see why she spent the money and the value.
Oh, your coach is Anwar. Shout out to Anwar, who does great work. I saw him recently on the Off the Record podcast, and he was talking about how a lot of us, our preference is actually our trauma. Do you feel that that's what it was for you?
Oh,
that you
100%.
found comfort in the trauma?
Oh, 100%. I heard him say once, and I was like, nailed it. He was like, our type is our trauma. Like, my perceived type was not really my type. It was toxic. It was based and inspired out of trauma. So you asked me earlier, I'm sorry, I didn't answer this question, but you talked about not being taught how to date. Nobody taught me how to date.
I was going to ask you that too. That was going to be my follow-up question was, what did your mother tell you about dating? What did your grandmother tell you about dating? Like, what did the women in your family tell you about dating? And the reason why I asked that is, as a Haitian woman, I don't feel that in my culture, we are taught how to date. In the Haitian culture, it is and it's basically like, close your legs.
Yep.
If you're gonna love above, don't love beneath. You know what I mean? And that's basically the gist of it. Don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the gist of it. And we don't really get the steps to getting married. And a lot of times too, within the Haitian culture, while Haitian men tend to be very romantic, it's usually when they're looking for something like at the end, right? A lot of times me and my Haitian friends will talk about the fact that we really never saw our mothers be romanced. We never saw our mothers be courted, even in your marriage. Even in your marriage, like you should still be courted. Even in your relationship, you should still be courted. And so I feel like for me going into the dating realm, I was very unprepared. I made a lot of bad decisions. And I feel like a lot of it comes from the fact that ain't nobody tell me nothing. So that's why I'm asking you that question. What did your mother tell you about dating?
And that resonates with me because that's exactly what I was speaking on. And that's exactly how I felt growing up. Christian, West Indian mother, same thing. And I feel like a lot of us across cultures probably feel this way.
What did your aunties tell you about dating?
Girl, we need a support group. I was literally out here just winging it. Okay. Yeah. Like same thing that you said. That was it. I remember my mom brought me in her room one day and she was like, come sit down. I was starting to develop. I was an attractive young girl and she saw boys were chasing after me. She was like, come sit down. She was like, listen, you have sex, you're going to get pregnant. So that just horrified me. And it also impacted my sexuality growing up. Like my God. Yes. I was scared to engage, to try things because there was just this constant fear of, this is just wrong. Sex is wrong. So that was my mom. I remember my uncle asked my dad one day, he was like, no, asked me in front of my dad. He was like, I was probably about 14, 15 years old. He was like, so do you have a boyfriend? The way my father turned around and looked like, you better answer it right.
Not the uncle.
Yes.
This ain't even your place. This ain't even your ministry, sir.
It's my uncle. And so for my dad to look at that without even having I also say this, don't come from my parents because my parents was the greatest parents on the planet, right? Don't
do that because baby, you will get blocked over here. We respect the guests, baby. So you will get blocked. But go ahead.
My dad, you never even talked to me about a guy. And then when it just is brought up in this conversation, like you look at me with death eyes. So nobody taught me. My mom has 5 sisters. My dad has 3 sisters. I have tons of cousins. I have a grandma. Nobody sat me down and said, this is what dating looks like. This is what courting looks like. This is what a relationship looks like. This is what because these are all different things. No one did that. And with the way that children learn is from seeing their primary caregivers in action, right? So my parents, their relationship to me felt more from the lens of a child, felt more like a business arrangement. I never saw them hug. I never saw them kiss. So even to this day, one of the challenges that me and my fiance have is around physical touch.
Affection.
Yeah, because I didn't see it. So it's foreign, right? And he loves physical touch, right? And I'm like, okay, not too much, right? Because it can be overwhelming for me because I wasn't conditioned to see or to have that. And so I remember when I came out of my relationship, I started doing my healing work. I started working with Anwar, and I have this man who's a stranger teaching me how to date. But I grew up with women who said they loved me and they had been in marriages. And I went through an experience of becoming very, very resentful and very angry for about 3 months. And my therapist had to work me through that because I was like, how could they? They could have saved me 13 years. Why didn't anybody teach me? Why didn't anybody guide me?
And that's the thing. They're also patriarchal women. They also most likely did not have anybody teach them. This is very foreign, again, in our culture specifically. I do see it in Black cultures across the world a little bit more. I feel like some African countries, they kind of teach them a little bit. But for the most part, most women are just like, no, I don't know how to. My parents taught me nothing. I feel like this is for a lot of cultures, though, not just the Black culture. I do think it needs to be talked about more. I am going to let you guys, if you guys want to, because we're coming up on almost an hour and 30 minutes. I don't want to be too long, but I'm going to give my final thoughts. Just one moment.
Hey, you guys. It's your girl, Dana Patrice, a.k.a. The Black Fairy. And this is just a quick reminder to please like, share, comment, okay? Subscribe, click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any lives or new videos that I'm posting. And I promise to be posting more than ever now. And that is just a free way to help support me and support this channel. And it costs you nothing, okay? So without further ado, this quick reminder is now over. Thank you for watching.
All right, y'all. So what did you learn from this? Did you hear about this viral story? What did you think about it when you heard? Because when I heard, I was just like, at first I was kind of taken aback. Then I started investigating. I definitely think she's onto something. I definitely think it's something that if you want to be dating men in this world, you do need someone that works for you, that can help you in your regard. If you grew up maybe not knowing how to date, maybe not knowing how to do these things, I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. I don't think we should be shaming other women for doing what's necessary. I think mentorship is required. I think that in a lot of other cultures, I watched, is it Indian matchmaking on Netflix? Very common. And a lot of these people, like they use astrology, all these things, people, depending on who they are, have different experiences, but it can definitely happen. I feel like it may not happen on your first match and things like that, but I understand it. She didn't not just go for a dating coach. She had therapy. I feel like she did what was right for her. She definitely got the results that she wanted. She manifested what she desired for her life, which is all that we can wish for each other on this journey, because it will look different for every other woman. As someone who is decentering, I do understand that there's this perception that we shouldn't have anything to do with men. I think that's quite hard. I don't necessarily think you have to give up any ideas of wanting companionship. I just think you have to get real with your expectations, understand who men are. And if you are willing to deal with that, if you are willing to be who you need to be in order to help make that work for you, then go for it. Do what you want to do. Please let me know your thoughts and ideas on this and opinions. Please keep it respectful. I love y'all. I believe in you and you got this. Talk to y'all soon.
Yes. I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.